Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the XLNC Analyst Desk. I'm the Idea PC, joined by Ashley here on the desk. And what a banger we had there for game number 2. We love Solbert really dominating a strong early game and being able to take that advantage and press it throughout the mid to late game as well. Dominating performance there that we got to see overall. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with that set that went up in the top side of the map, able to absorb so much pressure across the map. Very impressive performance from Peach Buzz Fizzle.
Yeah, ends the game 5-1-8. Hits that 3-item power spike, really able to be that front line, soak up all that pressure, and allow the other parts of his team to really become unlocked. Tristana able to come online, hits 3 items by the time the game ends. Veigar able to scale up, get to Rabadon's and his other 2 items. So really well played by Peach Buzz Fizzle. I'm a little bit disappointed in World Class Outlaws because we talked about, our casters did at the start, that their draft is an ease of execution draft. This is a draft that, all right, you have an Olaf Misfortune Nautilus, you have a Kennen, you have an Azir, you have early game pressure where you can make ganks happen and you can make plays around objectives happen within the first 10 minutes, whether that's the Drake, whether that's the Rift Herald, and it just didn't happen. But because that doesn't happen, Solbert starts to get a slight advantage. Veigar is allowed to scale up, Tristana and Karma are allowed to hit some power spikes, and you get to a point where now that you're behind a Drake and you lost a couple picks here and there, how do you get back in this game if you don't team fight correctly? And as we got to those team fights, there was no execution. We have that one team fight around the Drake where Freshburger, he's not in the team fight at all. He's still just in the top lane, did not follow Peach Buzz Fizzle down the river. And overall, they weren't looking for engages. It wasn't Nautilus hook with Kennen ulti into the bullet time. That almost never happened until it was already too late and they were too far behind. The one time we saw that, Freshburger got showstoppered out and killed very quickly. And overall, that was very disappointing for me.
It was indeed. I just want to talk about that game as well. There was so much neutral objective control throughout the early game, throughout the mid game, being able to pick themselves up that very early soul. Just adds to the power of their team. And there was no slowing down the snowball that they had ended up generating for themselves as that game continued to go on. So very dominating. I mean, we saw that early teleport come out from the Kennen as well. Not able to get anything out of that. So it was just kind of a bunch of things that occurred throughout the game. And these small things that disadvantage you do end up adding up. And that's exactly what we ended up seeing at the end of that game. So overall, great competition there coming out from We Love Solbert. We will be able to see them up into our next upcoming matchup, which will be from Omega Gaming Unleashed versus We Love Solbert. Omega Gaming Unleashed, they have done pretty well inside of the Upsurge Junior Leagues. They've made it on into the playoffs. They had one of their playoff games yesterday, actually. They ended up taking that best of 3 series 2-1. I believe it was over at Eternal Esports. So doing themselves very well, kind of across the amateur scene right now. I'm looking to this team to clean it out if I'm going to give my predictions and make it an easy 3-0 here in the XLNC mid-weight testing grounds. But overall, looking for some of those picks here. Taking a look, though, at the support for the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. Vicro on the Thresh has a 63% win rate on that champion. 67 games played, has been highly proficient, so I'm looking for maybe some of those bans towards those hook champions. The next 2 most played are the Nautilus and Leona, so I'm curious to see if they are going to ban away some of that priority. Additionally, you go ahead and you take a look at Princeton here, who I believe is going to be filling as the mid laner here for this team. Has a currently 71% win rate on the Diana with 17 games played and a 56% win rate on the Yasuo. So he has these kind of champion pool, if you take a look, has these champions, wants to be able to dive in there, duke it out in the fight. So I'm looking for them to be putting some of that jungle pressure and attention from Smolkrum, who has had great games on the Trundle in the past, towards that mid lane to be able to get him ahead on some of these types of hyper carries.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a team where we look at their OP.GGs, we look at their previous matches that we've seen, and this is a team that can play through any lane. You look at their mid laner, and KDAs are all above 3 across almost every character except Orianna. High win rates, has immense flexibility across the board. A top laner can play that weak side top lane, can play that strong side top lane, has the Jace, has the Ornn, Rumble, Mordekaiser, even the Kalista top, which could be a flex. That's all available for them there. But my eyes lean towards the bot lane. You talk about banning out some of these hook champs. I feel like you have to ban out some of the support champion pool, because how do you ban out Adjustments champ pool as the AD carry? He has the Aphelios with a 50% win rate and a high KDA. Senna AD carry, Ezreal. He has the Syndra for the flexibility. Even Jinx pocket picks, Veigar, Kalista, Ashe. His pool is so wide and so vast, and he performs on all of these champions. I don't know how you touch this guy.
Absolutely. So looking for that matchup to kind of focus towards the bottom lane there, looking for some of that jungle attention. I imagine that we will see a weak side top pick coming out from Super Chase on this team from Omega Gaming Unleashed. I think that the Ornn could be a good champion to end up picking up, get some of that ornament upgrades as the game continues to go on. And, I'm looking forward to seeing how that is actually going to play out and what they do decide to end up picking to round out that team. But let's go ahead and transition and talk a little bit about We Love Soulbird, right? We saw them with that dominating performance there in game number 2, and I'm looking for them to, again, play through that jungle, have something with priority on it, right? Maybe picking up the Olaf there or the Trundle to be able to get some of that tank busting ability with the Trundle, with the Subjugate, if they do decide to play weak side towards the top side from Omega Gaming Unleashed. I think that the Trundle pick could do themselves very well to be able to try and maybe beat down the Ornn as those team fights continue to go into the mid game. So I'm looking for that out of MCE Swoon Typhoon on the jungle.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And looking for that type of play style. Would not be surprised if it's allowed through that we see the Trundle again. I'm a little bit curious to see where they go for the AD carry role onto Soulbert. He played the Tristana last game. It looked good as they were able to scale into the mid to late game, but they also did not feel like they were incredibly punished as far as into the bot lane. Misfortune and Nautilus should have had more priority, and Olaf probably should have had more of an impact on that lane. So they were able to get out of lane pretty safely, but now they're going up against a bot lane that we've already talked about is very, very strong. I don't expect we'll see the Caitlyn. That is a hard carry lane, right? You want to be able to get your Caitlyn ahead, and if you can't, it's going to feel very, very bad. Personally, my bias is I want to see Kog'Maw. I don't think that's going to be the case. Would not surprise me if we saw something safe like an Ashe or a Senna come out from Soulbert in this game.
Indeed, and taking a look at Kitty Lexa's champion pool from the side of We Love Soulbert, right? We talk about on the side of Omega, they have all of these hook type champions, right? She does have the Morgana available from Kitty Lexa there to maybe be able to counter that. So I'm curious to see if that is what we're going to see, if that's the kind of support pick that we do decide to end up picking up in response to that kind of hook champion threat that comes from the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. That could be on the table for them as well. So we're interested to see exactly where these bans are going to go, right? And which champions or which lanes they're really going to prioritize in the ban phase coming from the side of We Love Soulbert. I do believe that it is probably a good idea to be banning out some of those champions from the mid lane like we talked about. I mean, the OP.GG is wildly impressive. I mean, you take a look, it is 60% win rate on most of the champions that he has in the first top 10 most picked champions that he's played, and that's the kind of player that really can be the kind of player that you build the team around, that you put a lot of power and strength into. So maybe trying to lock him down, that will be it. So with all of that being said though, ladies and gents, I do want to shout out to the heavyweight signups here. So if you like what you've seen tonight, be sure to check out our heavyweight league, which will be starting next Thursday, July 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Signups are still open for the heavyweight league. So if you or someone you know has a team within the platinum to diamond, let us know. But I'm going to throw it on over to the casters as we're getting ready to start up the draft. Ladies and gents, we'll see you on Summoner's Rift.
Well, hello everyone. We are getting into draft for the final game that we will be streaming tonight. Fans already flying off the table here. Nothing too suspicious in the form of Ezreal, Set, and Volibear. And Necrox, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Coleslaw. I'm super, super excited to get into this last game. Two of these powerhouses that have just rolled their way through the competition tonight in our mid testing grounds is Annie is hovered as a ban. That's certainly an interesting one, targeting Princeton's possible burst mage. Oh, it will be Graves.
Graves is a little more normal than Annie bans. I'll be honest.
Sure. Ooh, Timo ban, scary.
I think that's just them answering the Annie hover. Yeah, Thresh a much more reasonable ban. He is one of the better supports in League of Legends right now, so getting that off the table, always a reasonable choice, especially if you do not want to pick it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, like, a lot of power picks here that are banned away. This has kind of been a common theme amongst these bans that we've seen. Just take a look. All 6 of these bans are powerhouse picks. And then we get a powerhouse pick in our first phase. I mean, Varus, Poke Varus is incredibly strong, and it's first picked by Omega Gaming.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a Varus first pick. I'm so happy. We saw no Varus last game. Like, both teams could have taken it, and they opted into the Misfortune pick, and then just not a counter pick. So, I'm content. Seeing a Varus is a good. It's a good pick. It's the best pick even in League of Legends right now, and
Ooh.
It's answered by the Karma again.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Solbert love to do. I mean, they really enjoy first picking, like, on red side, especially this Karma, because she is so utility packed, like you were talking about last game, Coleslaw, and then they pick up the Olaf maybe for a little game more early pressure. Maybe they felt that they were lacking on that last game, even though, in my humble opinion, they honestly were not. They were winning early game. Trundle is now the response into the Olaf, picking something a little safer, who just, provides a lot of utility himself. But other than that, a relatively simple draft from both these teams. We would expect Omega to pick up their support here, saving their solo lanes for a future time. Color me wrong again, Coleslaw. It is Orianna that is picked up, and that is a spicy hover on the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, the Orianna pick is an interesting one because it's probably Karma support. If we love Solbert and you're aware of how they like to play their composition, then you should be under the impression that this is Karma support. There's not question of is it flexing. Of course, it always can if it's extra good, but that's probably where it's going. So picking a mid laner just means that you're going to have one solo lane counterpicked, and with We Love Solbert being on red side, they're actually going to be able to lock in support with R4 here, and then lock in mid lane with R4 as a counter pick, and then with R5 get a top lane counter pick as well. And when you're counter picking mid lane and top lane and AD carry for that matter, you really just get what you want most of the time out of this draft. So I'm not a fan of divulging that you want the Orianna mid. It makes sense if you're trying to get it in before the bans fly off the table, but usually there's enough mid laners around that kind of thing isn't ideal.
And maybe it's the Kog'Maw response, right? Because they did have that last pick on this red side rotation. So this would be an extremely fun game if Gentle is on Kog'Maw. I mean, we have seen AP Kog'Maw make its round in the Pro League. We've even seen it in the LCS recently. Finally, NA is learning something from other regions. Still scared to pick up the Wukong, but I mean, in this game in particular, I'd love to see the Kog'Maw mid. I don't know how well that pairs with an Olaf, in all honesty, just because you really don't have that much early pressure. You're more scaling to the late game to just dish out that artillery mage-esque play, but now it's a Zillion, and okay, interesting.
It's Zillion mid, is what that is. It's something that Gentle plays from time to time, has very good stats on it in ranked, and just a generally more useful pickup than the Kog'Maw mid, I think, for their composition. Kog'Maw mid is good. It's one of those things that you can pull out here and there, and the artillery threat makes him super, super useful, but Zillion just kind of does more for this composition. He will get out of jail free card for this Kog'Maw to some extent, and with the movement speed, he's able to help either this Olaf or this Kog'Maw reposition very effectively. And with a Karma as well, it's looking like this might be a little bit of a protect the Kog comp, with only top lane left to pick up. It's going to be into a Wukong, but there's some options here.
Yeah, this is certainly an interesting draft, right? You have 2 support mages and then 2 hyper carries, right, between Olaf and Kog'Maw. So let's say you have like Karma shielding up, speeding up the Olaf, and then you have Zillion speeding up the Kog'Maw. So like, okay, we're gonna play around you guys this game, have fun doing all of the DPS and doing everything we need in team fights. Let's just hope that they actually have the damage to get there. If they set this Kog'Maw behind in lane, then we've got a problem. And now we have the Fiora as the final response. It is the response into Wukong. So they're not team fighting this game. They are split pushing.
Yeah, it's a pickup. It's a spicy pickup. Fiora, not something you're used to seeing all the time at all, but it does do very well into Wukong, particularly if you are able to anticipate and repost the Cyclone. If you can deny the knockup and get the stun, you basically win the fight outright. It's automatic. You just cannot lose if that's the way that trade goes. And so Fiora will have this split push 1v1 pressure. She absolutely is the strongest duelist in this game, and it's not even close. And so it's a 1-4 from We Love Solbert, where their 4 is actually really strong too. Kog'Maw, Olaf, Karma, Zillion is hard to engage on and hard to avoid getting in on by. They have so much movement speed, so much damage, so much denial in the form of the Ragnarok from Olaf, from the Time Wander from Zillion, and the Chrono Shift, just to deny any pick that Omega may be trying to get. So they have tools, they have a clear win condition, and I like this draft as far as having a clear vision goes. But we got to shift focus and look at Omega's team comp, because they've got some things going on that are very scary as well.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, right? They get a lot of power picks, and while there is like a little more finesse to We Love Solbert's comp, we shift focus, we look at Omega now. I mean, look at this power lineup, right? Pokebars, very, very effective at what he does. Trundle, very effective. Orianna, Blitzcrank, Wukong, you could say the same all the way down the line. The only thing I kind of would like shake my stick at Omega is it's kind of an interesting draft for Pokebars, right? I mean, Orianna, Wukong, Trundle are very good team fighters. Trundle helps you team fight front to back. Orianna, Wukong, you know, the Wombo combo, we've all seen it before. You're just going to instantly delete a carry. Varus and Blitzcrank, though, are not really looking to team fight. Of course, Varus is just so incredibly busted in his damage output he can. Blitzcrank just isn't the biggest threat, especially into someone like Olaf or Zillion or Karma. I mean, the only good hook champion, or only good hook you can look for, is a champion of Kog'Maw, right? And I don't think that option is going to be available, but we will see, because I mean, now that we look at it, Solbert really doesn't have a front line to block that hook anyway.
Yeah, and I think that might be undercrediting the power of a mid-late game Blitzcrank hook. It doesn't really matter who you hook if the Varus and Orianna are there to provide the burst damage. You can hook Olaf and he'll go down relatively quickly to Trundle, Varus, Orianna. If Wukong is there as well, then it just gets even more straightforward to do. So I think Blitz is fine. I agree that he doesn't really have this outright 5v5 team fight potential. You know, he really wants to be fishing and picking people off more so than he wants to be going for all-out brawls. But he can provide peel. He can deny Fiora if Fiora is in the team fight instead of split pushing. And he has some power, and that power pairs extraordinarily well with this Varus, especially in the early game. And I think that's why you see it picked up, because the Chain of Corruption and the Rocket Grab pair together fantastically. If you are able to connect one of those two abilities, the other one is almost certainly guaranteed, and when you chain them together, the kill is almost certainly guaranteed. And that means that this bot lane for We Love Solbert are going to have to play very respectfully. Kog'Maw is immobile, and though Karma has peel, it's not that much peel. She cannot save a Kog'Maw from a hook. That's really going to be on the Zillion with the Chrono Shift to deny kills in those situations. And so we're going to potentially see some serious cheese, some damage, some engages from Adjustment and Vicro that can very, very scary. And it's going to require We Love Solbert to play around it with extreme precision.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this a little earlier, and now that I take a second glance at it, almost Blitzcrank seems like the 5-head draft, where if you hook anyone, I mean, you're absolutely right. They're probably just going to die. Typically, you don't want to hook someone like an Olaf into your team. But, I mean, now you're absolutely right. Between Orianna, Wukong, Varus, if you, really anyone that you hook other than an unstoppable Olaf, of course, is probably just going to get one shot. The only question is, do they have then the damage to follow up after that one shot has occurred? So we'll find out almost certainly. But yeah, it's a lot of, maneuvering and slipperiness that has to come out from Solbert here, or we're looking at a possibility of this game, snowballing off of this Blitzcrank pick. It's obviously a very strong pick when you do decide to draft it. So if they don't play their vision correctly, and if they don't play around walls correctly, this Blitzcrank could end up coming back to bite Solbert in the rear. I mean, you could see they snuffed out the engaged supports. They banned the Nautilus, they banned the Leona. Omega's like, okay, you left one up. It's Blitzcrank, we'll take it.
Yeah, and I think the last thing to touch on here is just general strength of these compositions. Omega have 5 picks that you consistently see in pro play. Blitzcrank, maybe not at the absolute top of the meta, but when you have 3 support bans, it's hard to get a support that is. But they have the best AD carry in the game, one of the best mid laners, one of the best top laners, and one of the best junglers. And from the side of We Love Solbert, it's a niche mid, a niche top, an AD carry that you don't usually see, a support pickup that's on the fringe, and then a good jungler. So it's just power picks in this game are all in favor of Omega, and in general strength, all things being equal, I think the way the game is currently balanced, they just have a stronger composition.
Yeah, and we certainly will see those strong picks come into play. I'm excited for it. I know Coleslaw's excited for it. I don't even need to ask you at this point. We are down for some dirty League of Legends. Don't you guys go anywhere, though. Game number 3, the hypest of them all, coming at you awfully soon. We'll be right back as we load up onto Summoner's Rift.
They feast on fear. These wretched abominations blight this world, and every last one of them will perish by my hand.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We are loaded up for the final time tonight for XLNC, Excellency, Excellence, whatever you may call it. We are back and ready for our final game as we are storming out of the gates as both these teams are ready to duke it out for the number 1 spot for these mid-testing grounds, as a couple shenanigans coming out from a Blitzcrank. You would never expect it.
Yeah, the level 1 Blitzcrank invade. You've never seen or heard of this one ever before. And,
Uh-oh.
fortunately, Peach, paying attention, drops the ward down, runs away. Nothing gonna come of that, so... I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of wish something could... I've never seen anything level 1. Remember when level 1 used to be exciting and things happened?
I mean, he threw out a big red hook. I think that's just about as exciting as level 1 gets in League of Legends nowadays. Other than that, yeah, people just walk it back to their natural positions. Couple wards that may be relatively critical. We did get the red ward in the Pixel Brush, a blue ward on Raptors, so they will see that Olaf is not there quite yet. Other than that, it's a relatively simple start. Wukong just kind of sitting in a brush. Wukong things. I'm excited. Game number 3, relatively normal start for both jugglers. Should be a fun game to watch as no one gets an early advantage. You would hate to see the game snowball out of control as level 1, but yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and one thing to point out already, I mean, we say no big advantage. If we're gonna optimize this real quick, this is lessons in level 1 gameplay. Is this much trinket usage from the side of We Love Solbert is pretty aggressive. They drop down 3 warding totems, and that means that they're not going to be able to ward bot lane when it's about time for the jungler gank. We saw this happen last game as well towards top side. It was not punished. It could happen this game. Trundle is clearing from bot to top, so it's less likely to be relevant. But generally speaking, you don't want to use a solo lane trinket or both bot lane trinkets if it can be avoided. If you use one, it's okay, because you can plunk down one ward, and then by the time that one's dying, the other person has their trinket back up again. But when that's not what's going on, you're not able to play as safely as you'd like, and you're vulnerable to ganks. It's not going to be relevant in this game, but let that be a lesson on level 1 trinket.
It's not only do we provide great entertainment here at XLNC, we teach you how to ward level 1. I mean, what else could you guys ask for? Man, just a great show, honestly. But other than the level 1 warding, relatively normal start. We do see Varus with a Cull, which is, I mean, I've seen it before. He just doesn't get as much mana, so not as much harassment can come out because he cannot use that Corrupting Potion for mana, which is the common and typical build path. As it's an idea to get that gold lead earlier, but now we're going to see an engage on the top side. It's flashed early from Swoon Typhoon. Try to land the axe. Won't be able to land anything just quite yet. No Summoner's Burn on the side of Omega, but now Simulacrum can walk it down. It's a flash forward from Super Chase and First Blood going over to this crazy monkey, and Chase gets first blood of the game, and just like that, he has a very big advantage over Fiora, who does AD.
Yeah, and that's not just first blood. That is a buff transfer to this Wukong. That is double buffs on Super Chase, and that's going to make this lane very, very difficult for Peach. The fact that Swoon Typhoon went for the flash axe and missed, just really getting punished there, because Simulacrum and Super Chase know, okay, well, this is a flash solo-off, so we can just chase him down and kill him. That's exactly what they do. Now this Wukong has first blood, has double buffs, and should be able to run over the top lane with that big of a lead this early on. It's going to be a tough time for Peach, going to need to play that lane very precisely now. And what is this teleport?
Okay, interesting teleport from Varus back down to the bot lane. Oh, just goes wide. Rocket Grab won't find the target this time, and Vicro almost gets his AD carry, the freest skill he's ever seen, but Adjustment will have to just live without it. It picks up a longsword on the first base, and it's actually a sizable CS lead for Kog'Maw so far. There's a big wave that's crashed into this bot lane turret. Hopefully, Adjustment will be able to pick that up. But I mean, it's an aggressive TP. Not much made from it though.
Yeah, and that's the price you pay when you teleport into the bot side river to try and chase a kill on the Olaf. If it works out, it's a great play. More than makes up for the last farm and experience, because kill's good, believe it or not. Kills matter in League of Legends. They give you lots of money and experience, and they're pretty handy. But when it doesn't work out and you miss the hook on the flashless target because Swoon Typhoon just putting on the jukes there, then suddenly it's a big commitment for no real advantage. You force him back, but aside from that, miss out on a lot. So the opportunity cost there pretty steep, and it's going to put Adjustment behind just a little bit here, and it allows Solbert to get off a really good recall.
Yeah, and it's very beneficial recall. I mean, picking up an early Vamp Scepter without really any punishment is pretty good. I mean, he's here to collect this wave too. You can see Kitty Alexa on the map holding that wave for her AD carry. There will be no contest, just they understand the early power of this Blitzcrank Varus. So Drake is secured by Omega, and that's the beginning of what is to come for this team as they hope to snowball with, you know, this team combo Wukong, Varus, Blitzcrank into an Ocean Soul, which can burst through the late game damage of, or not an Ocean Soul, excuse me. It won't be Ocean Soul. Ocean will be the next Drake, but with more damage late game to burst through someone like an Olaf or a Kog'Maw.
And it's going to be up to the side of We Love Solbert to break the trend of Soul going to the team that takes first Dragon. Peach, by the way. Oof.
Okay. That is a dead Fiora.
Yep. It's that simple. It's a Cyclone. Good ability. Goes twice now. In case you haven't paid attention to Legends in a couple months. Peach just dropping the Grand Challenge a little too late there. Not able to get the healing off in time. So...
yeah, I mean it's just a tragedy, right? That Wukong got first blood and got a better base off, and now it's just going to continue to apply that dominant pressure to this Fiora.
Yeah, and the lane was coming back. Peach actually kept the CS even despite that first blood, which is very impressive, all things considered. But bringing that lane back and clawing it back to even only to go down in a solo kill, and suddenly you've got to climb that mountain a second time because... that's now a 2-kill Wukong, and good flash from Solbert.
Yeah, it's a good flash from Solbert. Understood that rocket grab was coming and able to flash away from that one as... I mean, that's flashed down on your hyper carry, right? So now there may be a play around bot side as Wukong still has his teleport available, came off of cooldown, so maybe this could be a play around bot side soon. I mean, yeah, it's already... it's only 500 gold ahead for the side of Omega, even though they are 2 kills up. They also have a Drake, so Solbert's going to have to find a way to stop this, you know, continual bleed out from happening.
Yeah, it's a slow game. I think there's no massive rush here. Like, it's not like, oh god, we need kills now, because you have two supportive champions and a Kog'Maw. Like, you're scaling just fine, but you cannot fall behind.
Viker's going to be caught out, has to force the flash, but it's not going to be in time as the root from Kitty Lexa sets up that easy kill for Swoon Typhoon as the Olaf finds himself on the scoreboard. And talked about stopping the bleeding and getting kills now. They did exactly that. They got a kill just as we were talking about, a Caster's Curse as per usual. And Solbert is now on the board.
And that's an amazing setup from Swoon Typhoon. Just to expect that was going to be the path that the Omega Gaming bot lane were going to take, and sitting in that bush waiting for them to walk up so that he could just throw out that axe, get the slow, and pick up that kill. And that's a big deal. You'd like to see that kill going down onto the Kog'Maw. He really is by far the most important champion in this. But a kill is a kill, and pressure is pressure. And killing the support just to give your bot lane a break is a big deal.
Oh man, Peach. Oh, it's not even enough with the flash, and the Wukong is just dominating this top lane. You're right. That double buff plus that early first blood were just enough to make this lane unplayable for the Fiora. And now we are seeing the consequences of your actions in the top lane.
And this is unfortunate because you pick the Fiora expecting her to be able to win this lane. She's the split push pickup, not the team fight pickup. She's a counter pick to the Wukong. You're expecting Fiora to get ahead, to be able to push the Wukong in, generate pressure, take plates even, and then win the split push later on. But when you fall behind 3 kills, and you fall behind this far, it's just going to take so much longer for that pressure to come online. Instead of being at 1 item or 1.5 items, it's going to be at 2, 3, maybe even 4 items if Super Chase is able to keep growing the lead. And here comes the gank, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a teleport down bot lane, grand entrance used, and it's a good kill. And you're talking 1 kills on Kog'Maw. Solbert himself has picked up 1 now, and that's a very, very important play as long as Fiora can hustle herself back up to the top lane and collect the CS.
And you know, I said kills matter on Kog'Maw, but... Uh-oh.
Huh.
Necrox, that's a Herald.
Yeah, and it's taking the scenic route is what we like to call that one.
I think that was meant to be a ward, and instead it was a Herald. It might actually work out, because the Herald is going to make it to top lane, where Peach is going to be alone, so... Not a bad play. What I was going to say before we saw the Herald randomly go down inside the blue side jungle is that getting a kill on Fiora actually might be worth it there, because it will help bounce Peach back into contention here. Getting anything matters so that you don't see this Fiora continuing to get starved out by the Wukong. But if you're all in on the Kog'Maw win condition, then of course you give the kill to the Cog, and it's not so bad. So I think you can't be upset with it, but in a perfect world, maybe Fiora gets at least a grasp back into the game, because now the Wukong has 3 more plates, and that's more than a kill in gold. So Super Chase, super strong.
Yeah, I mean, now you have to worry about this Wukong diving into your backline and just one-shotting your Kog'Maw. You're going to have to be very, very careful with the Zillion speed and with the Karma speed to make sure that when this Wukong does find his way on your backline, because inevitably he will, that you have the speed to be able to keep them out. As Vikar's going to look for a hook, does land it onto Kitty, forced to flash. Trundle takes a bite out of the back. Var's going to soak up a lot of damage. Adjustment forced to flash away because of that turret. Maybe he wasn't expecting his teammates to drop aggro so quickly, and it's a summoner for a summoner in the bot lane.
Yeah, and I mean, it works out, but in general, just let it be a lesson that you flash the hook before it connects as opposed to after, because it means that either way, you're blowing flash, but at least if you flash the hook beforehand, you're not taking any damage and you're not risking going down. It's only because Vicro isn't able to combo that hook into an immediate punch and silence that Kitty Lexa is able to survive and get out of there. If the timing on that combo was a little tighter, then that's just a dead karma because the flash came after the hook connected. But it works out, and it does end up only being a trade of summoner spells, so not the end of the world for We Love Solbert. In fact, I think you're quite pleased that you were able to absorb that much pressure without going any more behind.
Yeah, I mean, flash for flash isn't bad, especially for the flash of the AD carry, right? It's typically considered more valuable than almost any flash in the game, other than champions who are super flash dependent. Speaking of flash dependent, Peach maybe a little flash dependent, as he's just going to get run down under tower. Grand challenge used, but ooh, the tower may kill him. No. Flash forward from Simulacrum to find that kill, and Zillion is here, throws down one bomb, throws down the other, finally lands one, slows the Trundle on his way out, but that's basically it. And yeah, no flash on Peach, so he will die under his own tower.
Yeah, and Peach uses the challenge late. Is really the only way to describe it. Is there's a lot of trading going on. He's actually taking Qs and doing damage while this Wukong is comboing the 2 Cyclones together. And if you see that key ability come down, if you see the challenge laid out while that trading is happening, then you start getting your healing earlier, you start proccing vitals earlier, and maybe there's a chance that you can get all 4 to give yourself even more healing and survive that 1v1. But when it comes out so late, when that Fiora is already so low, it means that there is very little survivability. And with Simulacrum there to follow up on Super Chase's engage, it means it's just another kill going over.
Yeah, and with all these kills, they have found themselves a relatively sizable lead of about 1,000 gold, but nothing, nothing to call GG's over just quite yet. I mean, there is still a very clear win condition here for the side of We Love Silbert. They get this Kog'Maw kills, they get him lots of gold, and they find that DPS as Vikar's just gonna run down Kitty, gonna fire the rocket grab, it does land, and she'll be knocked up into the air and killed as Pokevar's adjustment finds himself the first kill for himself as Drake was secured meanwhile by Omega, so it's a relatively simple game now for Omegas. They can just run down their targets. As speaking of running down targets, Olaf will go unstoppable, force to flash over the wall. Olaf will flash, follow, but the unstoppable runs out just in time, so the blast cone will do enough work. And flash for flash there in the top lane as well.
I was going to call out that kill onto Kitty Lexa in the bot lane was a huge commitment. Uh-oh. Swoon Typhoon.
And Swoon Typhoon is here, having to chase Super Chase under the tower, will not find the kill as the passive armor on Wukong makes that almost unkillable for any AD champion, but now it's a great chain of corruption as well. Flash away, Soulbird actually may live this one because of Karma's Inspire. One more arrow will be in time. Will they find it? No, they won't. And I cannot believe Soulbird lived.
That was a hook into a chain of corruption into not killing the Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
Not the way that's supposed to go. I gotta be honest, you're supposed to kill the Kog'Maw when you land your 2 key abilities, but I mean, the shield is big, and Soulbert, with both summoners available, is able to use them to great effect to get the heck out of there. The call that I wanted to make for all of that was that we saw a huge commitment from Omega Gaming go into bot lane and just kill the Karma. They committed 4 people to get 1 kill and nothing else. And Swoon Typhoon properly responded with a play on the other side of the map. You have the Zillion, who should be pushing mid lane, and you should, as this Olaf, be top lane, going for a gank, getting a kill. The issue, it just happened a little too slow. By the time Swoon Typhoon was counter-jungling and denying things across the map from that huge commitment, Omega Gaming was there. They had walked across the map, they were the backup that was necessary, and they were able to punish Swoon Typhoon for just being slow on that cross-map play. And that means it's another kill going into the pocket of this Wukong, and now turrets are beginning to fall across the map in favor of Omega Gaming. You see top down, bot down, and they are starting to extend this gold lead. Dragon is up, and it's starting to get dicey for We Love Solbert, because if they give this one up, then it's soul point for Omega Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if they want to fight this one, right? Kog'Maw doesn't even have his first item yet. He's not the DPS threat that you need him to be. Olaf is certainly available to fight, but Fiora's only sitting on a Tiamat and a Vamp Scepter, so not a lot of DPS coming out. They're the ones with river control, though, so they will start it. This Smelkrum is here, ready for the steal. He's going to be focused down before the Drake gets touched any further, but now it's a great ball, but now it's going to be Zillion ulti used. They want to kill him. They do indeed get the Zillion ulti off, but now it's just too late. Will it be a Smite Seal? It will be secured by Orianna. Swoon Typhoon goes down first, but now here comes the Wukong spin to win as Kitty goes down. It's a double kill for Princeton, make it a triple. Soon, not quite yet, Super Chase gets the kill, and that is a almost ace. Everyone that was in the fight died, and they get the Drake. It is a clean team fight win for Omega.
And it's the value from that Varus Q. Adjustment lands a max charge poke through basically the entire We Love Solbert composition. And when the health bars drop so low so quickly, it just makes the fight impossible. Peach doesn't even teleport in. On one hand, you want to say, well, if you're going to contest the dragon, you need to be ready to channel the teleport. On the other hand, with Adjustment doing that much damage and Super Chase getting a clean engage onto the backline, I think it's safe to say it probably didn't matter there, and We Love Solbert just getting wiped. And that means that they are now very, very far behind and in a whole lot of trouble of just losing this game outright.
Ooh, Peach actually wants to fight this one out. Grand Entrance just go down, Shockwave and return, but he's going to dash to follow his target. Zibla flashes over the wall to try to find Peach before he can kill the target, but now it's going to be Swoon Typhoon, going to go unstoppable. He will not be stopped as he chases down Vikro, but now it's going to be TP committed by Gentle into the fight. Double kill for the Olaf so far. Going to try to chase down Vikro as he's going to walk under the turret. It'll be Kog'Maw, the artillery mage, as Vikro has to go golden. It will be a couple more artillery shots going fired, but Gentle will find the kill with a bomb as Pokefires will not do enough to try to chase them out. It's a good chance of corruption. Will only hit one. No, actually lands on the second target. Solbert will walk away. So it's actually a 3-man pick for Solbert as they finally find something that swings in their favor.
Yeah, it's unfortunate the kill's not onto the Kog'Maw, and though there's one shutdown, you're missing out on the biggest one, which is this Wukong. Though, with that sloppy play, I mean, it's a confidence boost. It's showing that you're not out of this game yet. You can win fights if you take the right one. You have that capacity. It's a great play from Peach, figuring, you know what? Like, maybe I'm 0-4, but I can kill this Orianna, and I can solo this Orianna out. And they were there to follow up on that aggression sooner. So they get some kills for their troubles, blow some summoner spells, and they slow down the Omega Gaming steamroller here. And that's exactly what they need. They need to keep finding those picks now, though. And they're on this timer. We have the soul point up. It's in 2.5 minutes, and they need to be ready to just win a team fight outright at that point, because otherwise it's dangerous. And now Peach is in trouble.
Yeah, Peach certainly is in trouble. Flash is not available for either of these targets, so almost certainly killing the bot lane as we look top. It's Bork used, artillery being fired. Now Super Chase is going to look for the re-engage. It's looking awfully good. Too much damage from Super Chase as they do not find Peach Buzz in the bot, and they don't find Solbert in top. So between all of that chaotic nonsense that was going across either side lane, no one dies, and We Love Solbert come out alive. But Drake is up in 2 minutes, and that's certainly a big, big turning point for this game. Because if you get Soul, this game becomes even harder for We Love Solbert.
Yeah, so the one call out to make is that Mountain Soul is generally going to be a little less powerful with these compositions than it otherwise would be. Yes, there is this tanky Trundle and tanky Blitzcrank. The issue is that Mountain Soul provides a lot of value against burst damage. The shield can mitigate the ability for burst to finish someone off. It means you just need to have that much more damage. a 200 health shield into a protect the Kog'Maw comp, not really that much value because he does 200 damage and half an auto attack.
Vicro is actually going to be chased down. The passive shield does come online. It's a shield from Orianna as well. It's a flash forward. Shockwave locks up Swoon Typhoon. So it's flash forward for the kill. Does die in return. And now the pings are coming down on the Baron. Peach Buzz will be chased down. The clone used, and he's gonna pop the Cyclone here as Peach Buzz goes awfully low. Uses a grand challenge, but will not be enough. Super Chase never in threat of losing that fight. And man, oh man, is this game just... I mean, you can see that Swoon Typhoon and the rest of WLS Soulbird are trying to find anything that they can, but they're just getting caught out in side lanes.
Yep, and Dragon up in 30 seconds. We're at the point now where any summoner ultimate burned is not going to be available for this Dragon fight. So those Super Chase gets a kill. The Cyclone is going to be on cooldown when the Dragon spawns, and Peach will have teleport to get in there. The issue, Soulbird's top lane. So is Princeton for that matter, but this is an Orianna with teleport. And if there's no Kog'Maw in the fight, there's no winning that fight. It looks like We Love Soulbird just going to opt into giving up the Mountain Soul. I think it's a respectable decision if you don't think you can win the fight at all, but that's a steep price to give up.
Yeah, I mean, and they're going to lose the Olaf Ragnarok as well, so there's actually no way that they get into this Drake. So they're just going to have to give it up. Soulbird wasn't in position. Olaf has to use his main ability to steal, and now it's almost certainly a lost soul. And the play here may be to try to trade back Baron. They're swarming around it. They're going to look for the pick onto Princeton and top. They're not going to be able to find it just too fast. But yeah, I mean, now they've lost soul. You're going to have to either coin flip Elder or seal away a Miracle Baron, and that's very, very hard to do.
Yep, they're on the Baron, but it does look like Omega Gaming are aware that this is happening, and the Kog'Maw is not there nearly in time. An amazing flank teleport is going to come out of Super Chase, and they have to back off. That could have been a disaster.
Yeah, Super Chase is here, so there's no way they can do it. Poke Forest just is way too much to your team when they're all clumped up into one position, aka all in a Baron pit together. So they will have to retreat off of it, and now Omega are like, okay,
no.
we'll just take it. No thanks. We'll just do it this time. And now you can see that Soulbird is now going to get caught out, unstoppable from the Olaf. It's going to be the Zillion ult to try to keep him alive, but Super Chase goes over the wall with the Cyclone. It's going to flash forward. There's not going to be enough. Adjustment finds one, making a double kill for the Poke Forest. Super Chase going to try to chase down Kitty Alexa, and as soon as the fight started, the fight was ended. Super Chase having to walk away from the grand entrance may escape from this one. It's a great riposte from Fiora not to get hooked into the team, but Omega can just secure this Baron, and just like that, secure a very easy win condition for themselves.
Yep, so the Mountain Soul, not necessarily the game winner here. It doesn't do that much. The gold lead and the Baron, though, those are necessarily the game winners. It's one thing to deal with just a Mountain Soul if all other things were equal, but all other things are not equal. We have a 7k gold lead at 24 minutes. We have a massive pressure advantage and a Wukong that nobody can deal with. So Omega Gaming Unleashed, they just need to play around Super Chase at this point. He's so fed, he's so strong, he's doing so much damage, and he has so much sustain from this death stance that, I mean, anywhere he is, they're going to win that fight, and they're going to be able to take objectives.
Oh, Kitty, you've just been caught napping. Will get hooked in by the Rocket Grab. Vicro seals the kill away with a cute little emote to follow it up. And yeah, I mean, it's desperation time for We Love Soul. But if they want to find the 3-0 this week on the midweek testing grounds, they're going to have to do something certainly incredible to be able to do it. And as you were saying, this incredibly strong Wukong cannot be contested in a side lane. And when you draft someone like a Fiora, that's really your game plan, right? Win the side lane, get your other lane, super far ahead to make sure we can apply some pressure on the map, but it's not going to be found yet as Adjustment gets Soulbird to about half HP, and now it's going to be the engagement from Vicros. He just ults first, knocks up Soulbird, and he's automatically just deleted from the fight. It's 1-for-1 so far, but Adjustment will not let it be for very long as Super Chase is in the base of We Love Soulbird. Turrets be damned, he will run you down. Force the flash away from him, gentle, as on the other side of the map, Peach Buzz will have to flash out of the Shockwave as Grand Entrance was used. Now it's going to look for the re-engage. You're not going to win that one. Not even close. Princeton gets the kill there as well, and that is almost the ace. Super Chase gonna try to walk him down. Won't be able to do it. Zillion is as fast as a bat out of hell, and he'll be able to walk away just in time. But this
Is he
went
dead?
out for so
Is he dead?
long.
He's dead! Yay! They killed the Wukong. Rage lost down.
We did it, and Nexus is dying.
Yeah, it's a consolation prize.
Yeah. I mean, they're still gonna fight. I mean, they're not done quite yet. Hulk's gonna flash forward. Princeton forced to flash away. Silbert gonna get the shutdown onto Oriana, but Chains of Corruption will land. It's a good barrier to try to keep him alive. Zillion ulti comes down, not gonna be popped, so will not get that HP advantage quite back yet, and it'll be a snipe. Double kill from the poke bar. It is Gentle. Run away, Gentle. You can almost do it. Not quite yet. Micro lands a great rocket grab, and it's Clown Fiesta time, ladies and gentlemen. This is NA! And then they do everything they want to try to stall the game up, but they cannot do it. Omega Gaming win mid testing grounds. They are an absolute giant in this tournament.
And it's a well-played game. I mean, it's been 3 kind of similar games in a row, Necrox. We've seen it in each of these 3, where one team gets the first dragon. They say, hey, you know, taking these dragons, that's pretty fun. How about we take the rest of them too? And then they win the game before Elder could even spawn. And that's been the story of the night. It's a well-played game from them. The top lane Snowball was unstoppable. The Varus getting super far ahead in these skirmishes and fights around objectives. And they ride that to a pretty convincing and easy win.
Yeah, and they do it incredibly well, better than any other team can do it. Super Chase, absolutely phenomenal in this top lane. Past the Fiora counterpick, he found those advantages. It all started with that flash from Swoon Typhoon, trying to make the play in top lane. Just couldn't land the axe, and the rest was history. I mean, super, super proud of Adjustment 10-1 as well. I mean, he seems kind of slept on this game. Like, 10-1 on Pokevarus is absolutely incredible. They just couldn't finesse their way around the fights. We love Sobert, close second, but Omega Gaming Unleashed just seems unstoppable.
Yeah, and it's off the back of some individual performances, with lanes being won just by pure skill, basically, but it's also on the back of team play and macro and being at the objectives when they need to be there. You see it happen even at the pro level, where teams know that they need an objective and they're just not in position to take it when it spawns. That was not the issue with Omega Gaming Unleashed. They knew they were stronger, they knew where they had to be, and they were there every single time in a way to make sure that they could take the W.
Yeah, I mean, certainly a very, very strong performance from both these teams, but I don't think we should be the ones to break it down. I think we should throw it to our absolutely phenomenal analyst desk, and let's do that right now. We'll be back later to close it out for the night, but let's throw it to our analyst desk right about now.
And welcome to the analyst desk here for the mid-testing grounds here, brought to you by XLNC. Again, I'm the Idea PC, joined by Ashley here. And man, what a game number 3 there. Omega Gaming Unleashed, showing us why they are proving themselves across the circuit here, cleaning it out in week 2 here with a clean 3-0.
Yeah, absolutely. Insanely clean from them. They knew what they wanted to draft, had the game plan ready, and I'm disappointed the Kog'Maw lost because I'm a huge Kog'Maw fan, but at the end of the day, when you don't draft around a team fight composition when you have a Kog'Maw, I am expecting you to lose, especially when Super Chase gets so far ahead so early. What is a Fiora going to do to be able to get back in this game? Doesn't seem like there's a great way to adapt to that. And it ends up being a nice game from Omega Gaming Unleashed, and they go 3-0 on the day.
They absolutely do. The only team to do so here in week number 2. We're taking a look at the Swiss group rankings here for week number 2. Omega Gaming Unleashed getting that 3-0 that we just saw there in game number 3 broadcasted here. Divine Ascension White tying it up with Glaive White, We Love Solbert, and Glacial Esports, who Glacial Esports was able to win their last 2 games after that first loss against Glaive White there. So, you know, these teams really showing up here, putting some good performances on across the board. Rounding out the bottom of the ladder there was Ironic Syntax there with 1 win each. World Class Outlaws and KG Gossip Geese there at 8th. And Goliath Esports there, who I believe did drop out towards the end. But overall, just taking a look here, Omega Gaming Unleashed, hope to see them back again. Great performance here as well as from Glaive White, who I don't believe they played a third game. They had very great performances in that first game that we saw. So some real good talent here in the mid-testing grounds pool. I'm excited to see how this is going to continue to shape up. But just to touch a little bit more on that game, we saw this Wukong and Furor matchup up there on the top side of the map. And it was just that first gank, the first blood going on over to Super Chase pretty much wrote the story that we ended up seeing, completely dominating the matchup throughout the lane, and then using that lead to really jump on that backline and lock down Solbert and the carries from the side of We Love Solbert.
Yeah, absolutely. Once that first blood goes over to Super Chase, it doesn't matter that Peach Buzz Fizzle was playing the lane fairly well. We saw him perform on the set. I feel like if he had been in an even lane, he could have performed better on the Fiora. But when you're put down so early and your first back, you have to get a second Doran's Blade while they have a Ruby Crystal and a Longsword, you're automatically at a disadvantage. And credit to Super Chase where credit is due. He used that advantage to get solo kill after solo kill and scale that out of control. I do think Peach Buzz Fizzle could have used some of his ultimates a little bit earlier, as mentioned by our casters. But at the end of the day, for me, it comes down to you took a risk on drafting into the Fiora. It didn't pay off. Omega Gaming Unleashed sees that opportunity, punishes it well, and when team fights come around, Super Chase came into these fights, found the flank angles onto Solbert and Kitty Lexa, and was able to shut them down. Across the board, otherwise, I feel like it was a fairly even game. I mean, in the mid lane, didn't feel like Princeton had this huge advantage over Gentle. Solbert and Kitty Lexa actually played really nicely into adjustment and Vicro, despite that lane being at a super disadvantage considering its cog karma into a lethality Varus and a Blitzcrank. So I think there's a lot of potential for We Love Solbert. I would just like to see them maybe draft a little bit better around that cog.
Absolutely, and we did see Vicro on the Blitzcrank being able to get multiple picks and get that Varus kind of ahead with all of the action that ended up happening towards the bottom side of the map. I mean, at the end of the game, those piercing arrows, I remember towards the mid side of the map, a piercing arrow hit the Karma, knocked her from 100% health to about 10% health, right? It's absolutely devastating, right? And it just becomes impossible for you to really fight against that team composition that has the option of bringing you in close and knocking you out or hitting you from afar. So at the end of the day, not a whole lot that Solbert could unfortunately do in that situation overall.
Yeah, absolutely not. And believe it or not, they just nerfed that champion and he's still that strong. So Varus, there's a reason he's got 95% plus presence in all pro leagues across the board right now. Incredibly strong. And another reason why maybe you pick Ornn next time in the top lane, so you have some tankiness. But I do like that they're getting Varus trying to get Varus under control for Riot. But Adjustment showing his prowess on different 80 carries throughout the day. And I don't think there's much else to be said. Omega Gaming Unleashed played a nice game, and we will get to see them again hopefully next week. We Love Solbert will be back as well. And yeah.
Absolutely. And there you see on your screens, ladies and gents, the records there for all the teams. But that's it from the analyst desk here. Again, I'm the Idea PC, joined by Ashley. Very much appreciated for your time. We're going to throw it back on over to the casters to be able to sign us out here for the night. So again, from the analyst desk, thank you all very much.
And we are back. I mean, certainly a great stream today. I mean, it was a really, really interesting set of games. I mean, we didn't get to see, the hype 45-minute thriller, but we certainly got to see a lot of League of Legends. I certainly enjoyed watching it. I'm almost positive that Coleslaw did. Any final thoughts for the night, Coleslaw?
I'm looking forward to a day of casting where it is not 4 dragons to a soul every single game. It was fun League of Legends. It's fun watching teams play well. It's fun watching people execute on leads and close out games in a convincing way. It's refreshing. Because when you turn on the NALCS, that's not what you get. So
this is true.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching these teams. Actually, some really solid team play in macro. Just not the most close games, I think, is the way to put tonight. But still, very impressed by all the teams we saw. These obviously some very competent, well-practiced teams. They knew what to do with leads. They knew how to close things out. And I think that's honestly something that you don't expect at this level. So I'm very impressed and pleased with what I saw tonight.